people at the end anyway. Hi, everybody. Things are working now. Turns out it was my fault. Oops. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being patient. Thank you for waiting. And of course, gentle beings, we're glad to have you here. We don't know how many aliens are out there. So, without further ado, let's say hello to my guest tonight, Mr. Huratan. How are you? How are you, Tan?
I'm doing great, Matt. Thank you so much for having me on the show. It's my first one-on-one. I've done a couple of drive-bys on a few shows, but I'm very, very happy to be here.
And I'm really, really appreciate that you came by today. And guess what, everybody? Huratan is such a generous guy that he has donated a prize for a giveaway tonight. And I'm just going to make myself big very, very quickly here. And if you haven't seen my Instagram today, the prize is this. This is a original art piece on the Savage Sword of Conan by artist Mike Ruth, who we saw this weekend at our good friend Nefarious Comics. Tan,
Yes,
it's very nice of you to do these things. Over the last few months, we have seen what a valuable member of the comic community you really are, because you have been doing this not just with me, but with Alan, and you've been doing it with Bleecker, and you've been doing Biggie Shack channel. You've been doing this, and this to me, it's very generous and very nice of you guys to do this. And I'm glad that you. I am honored that your first one-on-one is with me.
I don't know how Alan's going to take that. Alan may not be a little happy.
Alan's like, I was too slow then when I told him.
No, look, hey, I obviously appreciate everything the creators do. I think the giveaways are really good for the audience, right? An audience that that we have a lot of see the same folks in a lot of different channels and whatnot. And I think it's a good little nod to the audience. Folks that spend the time, watch the shows, support the shows, and get a little bit of a giveaway, at the same time is, it's win-win for everybody, content creators, the audience. So I'm totally happy to do it.
Oh, Biggie Shack is saying he had Patel on a couple times, so he wins. Well, since we've got that, let's say hi to everybody. Apologies for the time. We're going to do the giveaway about 7:40. Okay, everybody. So to make sure it's done before Nate's show. So Up and Adam gets to be first the second time. We know that K Munin was first the first time. Jeff Jack is almost first. I will say he's first A. And K Munin is here. Hi, K. Hi, Andres.
Hi, K Munin.
And we've got Lewis here, 49th. Let's see here. Jeff Jack is busy. John Harrison is here. Hi, John.
Hi, John.
And Thomas O'Donnell is here.
Thomas.
Awesome. Let's see here. Who else is there? I know that Collecto 6 was in the other one, but I don't think he's here at the moment. But Callie's here. It's nice to see you, Callie.
Hi, Callie.
And Mike from Casino Comics is here. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Mike.
We have I Have Comic Issues. Good to see you, my friend. I was really, really, really happy to have been on his show last week. And if you are not subscribed to this guy, do so. He is wonderful.
Awesome.
Brittany's here. Hi, Brittany.
Hi, Brittany.
Biggie Shack.
The Biggie Sheik himself.
The Biggie Shack. Spinner Rack Studios. Good to see you.
Spinner Rack.
Lyle is here again.
Big Lyle.
JSS. Good to see you, John.
Nice to see you, JSS.
Mike Dennis is here.
Mikey.
Comic Mike is here.
Comic Mike. How you doing?
Robbie Josephs. Always good to see you, man.
Always around. Nice to see Robbie Josephs.
Rich is here.
Hey, Big Nasty.
And that's everybody that's in the chat at the moment. And Chonko was in the other one, and so was Collecto 6. So if you guys are back and didn't comment, welcome to the show. Those are the names I remember seeing before. So, Tan, let's get right to it. I'm going to make you big. Let's see the babies.
We got a lot of books to get through. I apologize, guys, we were a little late today on the show, but
it's my fault, Tan, not yours. I apologize for
technical difficulties happen. It's funny. I was like, I use StreamYard very often. It shouldn't be that difficult. And then right 5 minutes before the show, all hell.
Well, what happened was the extension turned off my my volume mixer completely. So literally, I could hear only what was going through my microphone.
Oh, okay, all good.
I couldn't hear there. Just to check that, I went to my music player. It didn't work either. That's what kind of told me Oh, check the
No
volume.
worries. No worries.
So,
If you don't mind dropping the comment, I'll give everybody a little intro on myself. Folks may know me. You hear a couple different names floating around. You got Patel, you've got Huratan, you've got Tan. Give you guys a bit of a background on where those names come from. So when I first joined the community, I came from another community, the wristwatch community. I'm a big wristwatch collector. And I had before YouTube had like the usernames like in the chat, like you could have your own name,
mhm,
and so my name was Patel Philippe, a play on words
mhm.
to the watch brand Patek Philippe. And so, folks that's knew me from, the get-go knew me as Patel. Huratan is my Instagram. My name is Tan. It's a play on words with the car Huracan. So you can use any of those names interchangeably, Tan, Huratan, or Patel. I would say that, in terms of collecting, I started like many folks, in the chat, and when I was my younger years, for me specifically was the 90s. I was very into it. I even bought an ASM4 when I was very young, saved up all my money, bought a very poor copy of it, but I was very, very stoked to have it. Like a lot of folks, went on a bit of a hiatus in terms of collecting and got back into it about a year
Yeah.
ago.
Okay, I was going to say, how long was your hiatus? Mine was about
A long
8
time.
years.
No, mine was a
Actually,
long
no,
time.
mine was 12 years. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, mine was a long time. It was, for me, comics were always a very, very big part of my childhood. And, when I did get the disposable income to get the books that I did want to buy, that's when I got back in. So about a year ago, I would say. So I, hunted down books that, I really, really cherished as a child or sought after when I was younger. And I'm very, very pleased to show you guys some of my books today. I do have a lot, so I will definitely go.
I'm just glad to hear you here to have you here, because you have been, as I said, a big, and also the fact that I've been one of the lucky ones that have actually met you in person. Like, I feel like it's really cool that way.
Yeah, super fortunate to obviously have some folks in the city, Matt,
Yeah.
obviously, and Alan. But I'll get right into it. So for me, as growing up, I always idolized the Silver Age. I loved reading, the old books. And as a kid, you'd thumb through Wizard magazine and see what is the most expensive comic out there, and oftentimes you see these big Silver Age books. So I'm going to start off in the Silver Age, but I'm going to go all across different ages, just kind of stick to different series that I have. So a book that I did recently get. Amazing Fantasy number 10. I really enjoy these early anthology books in the Silver Age,
Right.
sci-fi, supernatural, horror type books. Super cool. Ditko, Stanley, Amazing Adult Fantasy number 10. On the same theme, you'll kind of see this through my collection. I'm a big collector of The Mummy. It's one of my favorite Universal characters, Universal
Yes.
monsters. This is a Kirby. Love the big mummy just breaking out of the pyramid. Super cool book. This one is a cool one. Journey into Mystery 73. And this is the quote unquote prototype of Spider-Man, you could say.
Yeah, I like the fact that he's only got 6 legs by the looks of on the cover. It's kind of
Yeah. It's we're getting there.
No, I know. I think it's great. I mean, like, I love the fact that you can, with comics, you can do just about anything you want. And,
I think in this book, the spider got human-like abilities.
well, that's hilarious. That's
awesome. Getting into some, Silver Age keys, like I mentioned, as a kid growing up, you'd see these big keys, and maybe a topic for another day is kind of how I see the youth today looking at comics and comic collecting. But for me, the big Silver Age keys were, really where my heart was. For those that are familiar with the Silver Age, it's heavy on Marvel. So I'll have a lot of Marvel books today. The first book I want to show is Tales of Suspense 39. This is
beauty.
Yeah, this is a former personal copy of a friend of ours, Matt, our LCS owner's copy. I was able to secure 4.5 white pages from him. First appearance of Iron Man.
It's a beauty.
A book I recently got from Heritage, Avengers #1. I do have what's interesting is I do have a Newton Comics copy, the Australian version coming. Didn't make it for this show, but it's going to be coming in a few days. It's just got really wild, like, primary colors all over the cover. I really liked it, so bit of an homage to the original. Next on the docket, big book for me was First Appearance of Thor: Journey to Mystery
Yeah,
83.
I enjoyed when we did this book for book club. That was a lot of fun to read.
Yeah, it was. It's a real. Yeah, I like to read. I like the obviously one of the most iconic Kirby covers.
Yeah.
I got it in a 3.0 white pages. My friend Mighty Comics and Collectibles actually helped me find this book. Shout out to him. But yeah, Thor was always that was a big book too. Like his comic Mike is saying, bringing the big boys. That was a big one for me to track down and whatnot. So it was
What
really
I found always interesting about the Thor world was that you had Jack Kirby, a Jewish man
Mhm.
who was semi-religious at least until his older years,
Yep.
and he was big fascinated by the Norse mythology. Of all the ones that just it seems like out of the blue to be for was the Norse mythology, and he did a great job with it. I thought he.
Yeah, look, Jack Kirby. I mean, he's done a lot of sci-fi. I would say his creativity just really knew no
Mhm.
bounds, and it was very, very vast and had a lot of depth to it. So, yeah, I mean, I agree, and that's really I think what makes Kirby so special to a lot of us
Mhm.
in that era. I'm going to switch over series to the Incredible Hulk. I got the Incredible Hulk #1.
Nice.
I picked this up from Paradise in Toronto. Good friends of mine. We got the Biggie Shack book, the Hulk #2.
Yes, Biggie's favorite. I think that's his favorite Hulk book.
It's a beauty. First
Mhm.
Green Hulk. Really happy to get this. Obviously inspired by the Biggie Shack. I picked this one up recently from our LCS. Incredible Hulk #5. So I'm trying to get all 6 of the
Yeah.
original Hulks. So I've got 1, 2, and 5. So getting there.
Lau's
Um,
here. Hi, Lau.
Hello, nice to see you. And lastly, my last big Hulk book. No surprise. Hulk 181. I got an 8.0 white pager for Hulk 181. So
Very
that's the
cool.
first
Yeah.
batch.
So, did you buy most of these books in Ottawa or Toronto or online?
It's obviously been a mix for me. It's been some of it was in Ottawa. A lot of it was in the forums on Facebook. Most of these are Canadian books or
Mhm.
books that I sourced in Canada. Um, I have sourced some books like from Heritage and from the States and whatnot, but primarily, Canadian sellers,
Yeah.
either Facebook or other sources.
Well,
Um,
one thing I've always said is Canada has a very, very small collection of Golden Age because of all the bands and stuff, but we have a large percentage of Silver Age books. You can get just about any Silver Age book you want in Canada, and it's really cool that way.
that's absolutely true. And yeah, it was important. Like it's just easier to source it, in terms of like customs and shipping and all that stuff. So I try to primarily source in Canada if I can. Next book on the list is the first appearance of Doctor Strange, Strange Tales 110. He's
Nice.
Aunt Pete. Let's go to the start of the old the Marvel universe. We can start off with the Fantastic Four classic Kirby cover. Um,
That's a beaut. I love that book.
yeah, this was one as a kid. Like it was a dream to even look at the prices of these books and try to get them. So it was one I was hunting down. It's funny who that reached out to me saying, "Hey, do you want to buy a Fantastic Four #1?" And I said I already had one, unfortunately.
Mhm.
Fantastic Four #2, the last 10 center.
We're just going to take a second here to say thank you to Doc because he has given us a super chat. I don't have any of the bells and whistles like everybody else. So thank you very much, Doc. We really appreciate that here.
I wish I had someone helping me like Doc does. It's just like I got books all over the place.
Mm.
But for Scrolls, last 10-cent edition,
Nice.
Fantastic Four
Good book.
#2. And we're going to go to, and you guys will see this later, like as I go through the rest of my collection. I do collect a lot of villains.
Mhm.
And this will be probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest villain in my collection. Fantastic Four #5, first appearance of Doctor Doom.
Oh, very cool.
And just to round off some of my Fantastic Four books, I did bring a Fantastic Four Annual #2, The Origin of Doctor Doom as well.
I love his origin, and I bet you if he ever takes off his mask, it's probably this little tiny, tiny little thing. But he's so egotistical, I bet.
I know it's a cool one. I'm gonna get into another series that I really enjoy. We've got Daredevil #1. one of the cool, probably one of the most accessible, keys you could say in the Silver Age. It's one of the more accessible number ones. But
Yeah, I know a lot of people actually have this one. Yeah, I would agree with you there that a lot of people have looked for it, and it's one of those ones. If you have the money, you can find it.
yeah, you can find it. You could save up for it, I would say, and it's a really cool book to have. It's one of the books that I really, really enjoy in my collection. I really like Daredevil. Daredevil number 2, second appearance of Electro. I really
Nice.
like this kind of like red, and the red and the yellow. I think it really doesn't. I think it pops. A little bit of ketchup and mustard look. Really, really cool. We have a Daredevil number 3, first appearance of the Owl. So
Now,
all these are.
I'm gonna see. This is where my Marvel knowledge is not very very big. Who is the Owl? I don't know who that is.
The Owl. I'll show you can have a look at the Owl.
Oh,
here.
very cool.
Yeah, he's a cool looking. Yeah, I mean, you can see the character depicts kind of like what the Owl would look like, but
It would,
it's an early,
yes, actually.
yeah, it's an early Daredevil, yellow suit before the Wally Wood red. I think my last Daredevil that I have for you guys is Daredevil 168, first appearance of Elektra, signed by Frank Miller.
Oh, now that's cool.
Yeah, this one was from Ryan from Nefarious.
Very cool.
Really cool. Yeah, to have a Frank Miller signed Daredevil is for me one of the coolest things in the collection, the coolest pieces in the collection. All right, we're gonna.
Callie says that the Owl is like the Penguin without umbrella. Would you say that's correct?
I'd say that's pretty close. Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
I can.
Hi, Kenneth.
All right, Biggie Shack. This one's for you. X-Men number 1. Origin, first appearance of many folks on this page, including Magneto.
Wow.
This one, obviously, as a kid, was one of the Grail books to get. I think it's a Grail for a lot of folks. It's one of the books that I'd love, to want to keep in my collection. Everyone's talking about the top 10s that they wouldn't let go. This is one of them for me. I really like the greens. The reds aren't very good on this copy, but the greens are pretty nice. So,
well, the reds don't look too bad.
They're okay.
It looks like an older book, but it's still in great shape.
And that's what I like about these books is I don't mind the lower grades. I personally don't seek out higher grades. I would say in Silver Age, it's just I believe these books have lived their lives, and I don't mind putting them in a slab at this point after they've lived such a such a life where they've been used and enjoyed. And I don't mind keeping them in slabs now to just keep them for posterity.
Have you sent a lot of your own books in for slabbing, or do you buy slabs to begin with?
I typically buy slabs to begin with. I have a lot of raw books that I still haven't sent off, but for me right now, I'm collecting mostly already slab books. Next we got X-Men number 4.
See, that is a book I wouldn't mind getting because it's the first appearance of Scarlet Witch, and I really like Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, this is obviously a very, very classic cover.
Yeah, and my son's favorite hero is the Scarlet Witch as well.
Scarlet Witch. Very cool. Yeah, this is a good book. Good, cool story in the book. I like that a lot. We got X-Men number 12, the first appearance of Juggernaut.
We've got a question, Tan. Are there any Avengers that you do have the first appearance? I think you're showing most.
I'd say the only one I don't have is Ant-Man. So I have Thor, I have Hulk, I have Iron Man. So I've already shown those. I don't have Ant-Man.
And I don't think you don't have the Captain America one either.
And yeah, if you're going to number 4, yeah. I'm talking about the next on the X-Men, we've got the Sentinels. So if you were a kid in the 90s, the Sentinels were very big in the TV show.
Yeah, that's how I learned about them because I didn't know them from the comic books. I personally did not really read X-Men a lot. I read the odd book. I knew who the characters were, but I watched the TV show. I watched the cartoon. So
yeah, and I think anybody who watched the TV show, obviously the Sentinels were a big, a big rival of the X-Men. Very, very cool cover. It's just one of my favorite covers, from the Silver Age. This one is not Silver Age. We're going to go to Bronze Age real quick, but you can't show an X-Men one without a giant size X-Men one. I got a 9.0 white pager.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a beaut.
And there's always going to be that battle between, do you think it's GSX number 1 is the big one, or is it X-Men 1? And for me personally, I'm an X-Men 1 guy. I grew up loving the Silver Age, still do. But I know for a lot of folks, it's GSX 1.
Are you a completionist or do you just buy keys?
I am a completionist. I think my strategy right now is is really to tackle the big stuff and then
Mhm.
work my way through the rest, because I think that's where
Yeah,
you're going to get a lot of fun, right?
I get that because that's how I tackled my DC Comics Presents run. I went and got all the big books with the exception of 47. That took me a little while, but I mean,
Hmm.
I got the 26, I got the Superboy Prime, the Black Adam. I got all those first, and then I went and filled in the blanks. So it was,
Very cool.
and it's actually easier that way to a point. There's still some of those because at least with the keys, people know their keys and they keep them aside and you end up as sold. But the ones that are just, filler, I guess you call them, they're harder to find sometimes.
I think they're more fun to look for as well.
Oh,
Like,
I
the big keys,
no
like you
argument
said,
there.
yeah, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. If it's really the money constraint for all of us, right? Is how much
Yeah.
can you actually buy? But they're not as hard to find. But going to cons, going to shops, looking for books that fill the run, I think is really where I find it super super fun. So I'm looking forward to that. I've obviously got a couple of different types of collections or series that I do collect, as you guys are seeing. So I'm just kind of showing you guys a bit broad of what I do collect. Um, did you want to do giveaway, or did you want me to go to
Yeah,
Golden
we're
Age?
gonna do the giveaway now.
Okay.
So, ladies and gentlemen, let me just make us together here. Ladies and gentlemen, the hashtag is hashtag Conan, Conan, to reflect the fact that it's a Conan book, although it's Doctor Doom.
Mike Ruth is, he's a great guy too. I've met him a few times at Nefarious, and I was telling Bleecker he's actually from Bleeker's hometown.
St.
Down
Catharines?
yeah, he's from St. Catharines. He lives in Oakville.
Very
Um,
cool. Yeah, I know
yeah,
his wife is from here. He told me, and they're thinking of moving up here.
yeah, cool. I grew up in St. Catharines for a bit, so
Mhm.
I do know some of the LCSs that Bleecker went to, and he was younger as well.
Callie wants to know, while people put in the hashtag, what was the first run you completed?
Oof. I haven't completed anything, I would say. Anything substantial that I'm looking for, like ASM twos or ASM runs or anything. You'll see my ASMs in a second. I'm still working on the first 20 right now.
Wow, that's pretty cool, though. All right, let's see here. I got to do that. Share the screen thing. I got to remember how to do that. Share screen. Okay. See, I'm about, how you are a professional computer guy? I am so not.
Oh no, hey, they're coming through. 17 are there.
All right. So far we got 17. We're going to give it 2 more minutes. Everybody, get your things in. So, while we're doing this, what do you see? Like, what is your ultimate goal for collecting? Like, when do you think you're like a guy like me who wants everything? I'll
Mhm.
never be able to say I'm complete. I'm stopping. But do you have that sort of point, or do you plan on just collecting everything as long as you can?
I would say the goal is to complete, a number of runs.
Mhm.
ASM is probably the top of the list for me, being a Spider-Man guy. But I think that for me, ultimately, it's really just enjoying, collecting books that I really that mean something to me, that are special to me, that are nostalgic to me,
Mhm.
and really, it's the journey. I would say for me, the journey is much more important than really just completing it all. But that's really my goal is. You start.
Nate, if you want in on the draw, hashtag Conan. It's a original art cover on a Savage Sword of Conan. It's a. I'm going to show it really quick one more time. Everybody knows what they're getting. We're going to spin in 30 seconds. All right. That's not it. Full screen layout.
18 entries. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. And the winner is Comic
Comic
Mike.
Mike. Congrats.
Awesome. Mike, whip off your address to me in Instagram and we'll get that out to you within a week. All
Congrats,
right.
Comic
Way to
Mike.
go, Mike. Congratulations. All right. We can stop sharing now and we can do it this way. So we'll get back to making you big and we'll get back to the books because
All right.
ultimately everybody likes to talk comics, but what we want to see is the comics. They are the real stars of the day.
I'm gonna do a bit of a pivot. I know there's a lot of Golden Age fans here. I know Matt loves Golden Age. Many folks in the chat like the Golden Age. So I'm going to show you a few of my Golden Age books. I only have about 8 that I have here today, but these books are very, very dear to me. Pull a couple of these out first. I'm going to start off by showing a book that I just got. This is the latest book I bought. It's Spook 24, LB Cole cover. I'm a big Mummy fan, as you guys are going to see, in terms of Universal Monsters. But this book was, I just really fell in love with the, just the color strike on it, the the whole Mummy scene, and the Mummy's Curse. Just super cool LB Cole cover. One of my favorite pre-code horror books in the collection. Everything else you're going to see here, guys, is going to be EC related. But to stay on the Mummy theme, we've got the Haunt of Fear number 4.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, so I have a real kick spot for the EC comics too. Yeah,
this is an Al Feldstein cover. I just love the, obviously looking in the sarcophagus with the mummy in the back is just classic. And that's just a classic scene.
Hello, Matt Spidey.
Matt Spidey, nice to see you. The next book here, I believe, was in both the Seduction of the Innocent as well as the Senate hearings. I could be wrong, but it's marked as used in SOTI here by CGC. But this is the Haunt of Fear, number 19. This is the Executioner's cover.
What a beautiful cover.
And I think Alan's told this story many times, where there's a story in here where they're playing like baseball with like body parts or something. Like that's really what.
Yes, that's the famous story.
That's right. That's the one that bothered Wortham.
Actually, long before I ever read an EC story, that was the one I heard about first, and that made me want to read EC.
Yeah, it's a beautiful cover too. It's got a little purple on it. Like, if you like purple covers, it's really nice.
No, that's a beautiful book in general. Yeah.
All right, here comes. If you guys are fans of Johnny Craig, we've got Crime Suspense Stories number 17.
Nice.
On the theme of Johnny Craig, another book that was used in the Seduction of the Innocent, Crime Suspense Stories number 20.
And I particularly love how Alan used that for his tongue covers.
When he put that up, I didn't even think about it. I was like, man, that actually does make sense. But that actually led me to pull out the next book, because I'm like, why didn't Alan use this book? Johnny Craig as well. Crime and Suspense Stories, number 22. And
nice.
Does look
it's like true. There's a tongue right there too.
Why didn't Alan use this book? Like, he's got a copy of this.
Probably because he wanted to mix them up. I mean, like I literally had we could, for example, you could do 10 Venom covers.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
true. This is a guillotine cover, Tales from the Crypt, number 44.
What a beaut.
Yeah. It's a purple. It's a purple cover. It's a bit faded, but and last but not least, not pre-code horror, but sci-fi. I'm going to end off the Golden Age with Wally Wood's Weird Science, number 16. The cover from Mars Attacks.
Beauty. Like, it's just amazing how EC got such great quality work month after month after month. It was amazing.
Yeah, for me, EC is, in terms of just covers, stories, I highly recommend folks, buy the, or even go into comics or wherever, read the stories, because it's just a different era, and they just don't make them like they used to. It is really what it is, and that's really where, I'm not into everything Golden Age. The war stuff doesn't appeal to me. The romance stuff doesn't appeal to me. The pre-code horror does. The sci-fi does, and I think there's just something for everybody in the Golden Age, and I'm very, very happy to have some comics here from the Golden Age for you guys.
It's very cool. No, actually, it's funny because this week I went through and I only own 12 Golden Age books. I thought I had more, but
oh wow.
Well, I'm very late to the Golden Age Brigade. I bought my first one off of Alan, so that tells you how.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, Alan's got everything, right? And it's very hard to get Alan to sell you anything. Alan put his his top 10 I'll never get rid of books, and I'm kind of scratching my head, like, I know what books he has in his collection, so maybe he'll sell the other ones, which I don't think is good.
Well, he sells duplicates, right? And the case is, the Golden Age book I bought was Teenage Temptations, I think it's called, number 5, and it's a Matt Baker cover.
Oh wow, nice.
So if I'm going to buy a first Golden Age book, I'm going to get a Matt Baker.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. For me, it was, obviously the Johnny Craig's, big fan of
Mm-hmm.
Johnny Craig, Wally Wood, Feldstein. So between, sci-fi, horror, that's really where, I'm going to be focusing my attention and energy on, in the Golden Age. I'm going to pivot to Spider-Man. I do have a lot of Spider-Man. I
Mm-hmm.
mentioned I'm a big Spider-Man collector.
Let's go. That's a
We've
great
got
stuff.
Spider-Man number 1, Todd McFarlane. This is the Walmart edition with the UPC. What I thought this was cool was, this was only available at Walmart. Grades an 8.5, so as you would expect from Walmart, people handling the book and whatnot.
And the people putting it on the shelf, it's not weren't exactly handling it with care. So
whenever I go to Walmart, I think about that book. It's funny. I have Spider-Man number 1, Todd McFarlane, the Platinum Edition. This was the retailer exclusive.
Nice.
Just to start off, give you guys a bit of an appetizer for Spidey. This next book is really the book that brought me into this community. When I was picking this book up, I was going to Fan Expo last year. I was driving up from Ottawa to Toronto. As you know, Matt, it's a 4-hour drive, you could say, and there was massive traffic.
Depending on how fast you go, yes.
But that was the problem. There was huge traffic on the 401 in Kingston. Mm-hmm. And I just was bored. So I was like, let's just go on YouTube and listen to a podcast while I drive. Mm-hmm. And then this YouTuber came up named Comic Collector Geek, and he was doing a whole series on low grades. And he has like a playlist of it. I just listened to the whole playlist, and obviously that's how I found your channel and Biggie Shacks and everybody else, really. But I was going to pick up this book from Fan Expo from Harley Yee. It's Amazing Fantasy 15.
Oh, wow. Okay, I bought some books off Harley Yee, but nothing that big. Wow.
Yeah, it was cool. He got me a vendor's pass into Fan Expo to pick up the book and whatnot. So I got to go to the show, and it was insanity, but it was super cool. I had my cousins come down. They live in Toronto. They're big, comic book guys, and it was obviously big to as a Spider-Man collector to get an AF-15. Next book is Amazing Spider-Man number 1.
Number 1.
Which arguably I actually like this cover better than AF-15.
Well, it's a better cover, I find, because it's got, Spider-Man is like, yes, this is Spider-Man on AF-15, but here Spider-Man has some interaction with things, and there's actual, it feels like a story. The other one's like, here I am.
And in that book, they Stan Lee messes up for half the book. Peter Parker is known as Peter Palmer. So it's also the first appearance of Peter Palmer, for those that don't know.
Very cool. Probably, the Earth 626 as opposed to 616.
Could be. Yeah. Next book is Amazing Spider-Man number 2, first appearance of the Vulture. So what you guys are going to see here, next couple of books are going to be all the Spidey villains I collect. Been collecting all the major villains up until ASM 20. So when the question
so my question is, who was the main villain of number 1? Was it just them fighting the Fantastic Four and him? Because you could make the argument then that the Vulture was his first major villain.
Yeah, I mean, you've got the Chameleon as well.
Oh, okay. I didn't.
Yeah, but I mean, that's where people say is you could say that the first major villain is really the Vulture, because there's the Burglar in AF-15, it's the Chameleon in ASM-1, and then obviously the Vulture, who's a major villain in the Spideyverse, is it's definitely from the start of number 2.
Yeah.
We've got the next big book, Amazing Spider-Man number 3, the first appearance of Dr. Octopus.
Nice.
And fun fact for you DC fans, especially you, Matt, in this book, Stan Lee incorrectly refers to Spider-Man as Superman.
Oh boy.
Yeah. A book that I mentioned earlier that I got in my childhood, I saved up I don't know how I saved up this money, Matt, but I got this really poor copy of ASM-4, but I was so proud to have it as a kid. Yeah. Don't know if I still have it, but I did end up picking a newer version of it, or a new to me version of it. First appearance of the Sandman. And the next one is the first appearance of Dr. Doom with Spider-Man. First Dr. Doom in Spider-Man. Always, a villain that I always thought was, again, growing up, I wasn't a big Fantastic Four guy. You know,
I am. My big Marvel book is Conan and Fantastic Four. So
I've become a Fantastic Four guy now in my older years. But growing up, Spider-Man, and you would see Doctor Doom in Spider-Man. So I always kind of affixed Doctor Doom as a Spider-Man villain, even though it's really a Fantastic Four villain.
I'm pretty sure though Doctor Doom has fought everybody in the Marvel universe at one point.
Yeah, arguably probably the biggest villain in the entire Marvel universe. We're gonna go to Amazing Spider-Man number 6, the first appearance of the Lizard, Dr. Kurt Connors.
Cool. Hell, I think Doctor Doom's even fought Superman.
We've got next book is Amazing Spider-Man number 9, the first appearance of Electro. So I showed the second appearance of Electro earlier with Daredevil number 2. And this is the first appearance of Electro. All the books are piling up on this side, so gotta make sure that I don't tip them over. This is a Biggie Shack book. I know Biggie loves this cover. Amazing Spider-Man.
Mysterio.
Yeah, the first appearance of Mysterio, Amazing Spider-Man number 13. I always love this cover. Some people hate this cover for some reason. I've always loved this cover. I don't know. It's always been my thing. We've got the next book is Amazing Spider-Man number 14, first appearance of the Green Goblin.
See, that's what I can't believe. It took them 14 issues to bring him in, and then he became the biggie for the big baddie for a while.
Yeah, especially an early Spider-Man, he was. I think over time, some folks can argue that Dr. Octopus could also be one of the major, if not the major, nemesis of Spider-Man, but definitely, the 1 and 2 in the Rogues Gallery, I would say.
Well, you have to admit, Doc Ock has 2 big points that no one else has. He married Aunt May, and he took over Peter Parker's body in 700 or whatever it was.
That's what I'm saying. Doc Ock is no slouch. I would not mess with Doc Ock. And we've got the cover that everybody hates, the Biggie Spider-Man, the Fat Spider-Man, the Large Spider-Man. I don't know what people call this guy. I like this cover. I don't know. A lot of people don't like this cover.
It looks pretty cool, actually.
So, unfortunately, it didn't make it for this show, but I did buy a foreign version of this, a German version of Die Spinne, which is the German Spider-Man. And in the German book, he's not known as Craven. He's known as like Memrod. It says Memrod the Hunter in German. And so I thought that was interesting that they didn't keep the name Craven. I don't know, maybe it has another meaning in German, what have you. But yeah, it was just interesting.
It depends. I think there's three meanings to Craven somewhere. And that probably was why they wouldn't have used
probably.
It. Some words are used more than once, but they have different meanings. It's like
to round off the major villains in the top first 20 issues of Amazing Spider-Man number 20, first appearance of the Scorpion. So for me, when the question was, what have you completed? I'm looking to complete, first of all, the first 20. I've got all the major villains. Everything else is right now is kind of the filler issues, I would say, in that. But would not be a round off of those first 20 without the first annual, which is the first.
The Sinister Six.
Yeah.
That one I've read. I've read online. That's a good story.
Yeah, they actually recently, I don't know if it was recently, they did a facsimile of it. So I picked it up. And it was, I read it too. It was a great book.
Yeah. See, I'm saying this. I try to avoid facsimiles only because I think that I can read them online if I really want to. But I will pick up facsimiles of books we do for a collectors club.
For me, Matt, is I like to have something physical in my hands. I work with technology all the time, so it's not.
No, I get that too, and that's one of the reasons I do prefer floppies.
Yeah,
I'd rather have.
Yeah, it's whatever I think floats your boat. Next book is Amazing Spider-Man number 31. First Gwen Stacy. Not everybody likes this book.
That's right. I forgot. Yes, Thomas. That's the one that was the
German means coward. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I bought the book. I was like, why is it Memrod? Like, why maybe Craven means something in German. I don't know. This is my first Stan Lee signed book. It's the first appearance of Norman Osborn. Thought the placement of the Stan Lee was nice, the signature, and it's a small book, but it's a good book to have a sig on, I would say. Then we've got Amazing Spider-Man number 41, the first Rhino.
Nice. He's one of those villains from Spider-Man I really like.
I agree. Like Rhino's he's a good one.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's especially you see him a lot too in some of the newer Spidey books. I think it was
Yeah.
few books ago I saw him in.
Well, actually, my first ever slab was Spider-Man's Amazing Spider-Man 617. It's a Rhino book.
Rhino book. Okay.
Yeah. So
we actually got Amazing Spider-Man number 46, the first shocker. Got the villain that everybody says is a Daredevil villain, but actually started as a Spidey villain. First Kingpin.
that is by far one of the best covers of Silver Age.
Yeah, this one's a tough one too because like often in this cover you'll I see a lot of like the subscription crease that happens. And I just hate that. Like it's like you said, it's one of the best covers, of Spider-Man of the Silver Age. You could even say it, but it's got this massive subscription crease in the middle. It was just grinds my gears, Matt. Grinds my gears. We've got Amazing Spider-Man number 121, The Death of Gwen Stacy.
Nice.
Followed by, as you can imagine, The Death of the Green Goblin. Amazing Spider-Man number 122.
And that's another thing. Like the Green Goblin died so long ago, and really there wasn't that there's only about 100 issues he was really in there. How many appearances do you think he made in there? 10?
Yeah, I'd say about 10.
And he's so culturally huge.
It's funny. Jeff has a comment, says Gwen Stacy died. Interestingly enough, I was watching the foreign auction that happened on Heritage a few days ago, and the biggest book was the Mexican El Sorprendente Hombre Araña, the 128, where Gwen Stacy marries Peter Parker, and like it just goes.
I was just about to say, not in Mexico for Jeff. Yes.
Yeah, it's so.
But even still, she's back because you got Spider Gwen, but also they brought her back. Like I have a giant size Gwen Stacy that I bought from a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it's it's cool to see that. I like, especially in the Mexican books, like you'll see other villains that don't exist in the English books in there as well. So I think that's super cool. More Spidey villains wouldn't be. I don't know if you'd call this a villain, an anti-hero maybe. The first Punisher. Yeah, wouldn't call him a villain. Anti-hero.
Yeah, well, I certainly wouldn't call him a villain because his motives are not evil. But they're certainly not great either.
Not at all. I'm going to round it off for Spider-Man with first appearance of the Black Cat.
Another great character.
Yeah, not a villain, an anti-hero, you could say. I did have one book. It's not Silver Age that I wanted to show. I'm going to show a little bit of copper, just bronze and copper, just to round it off for everybody. This was a book that I got a few weeks ago. Obviously, anybody growing up in the 90s is going to love this series, but Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, first print with a sign and a remark for Kevin Eastman here.
Very cool. Yeah. Did you see him at the Ottawa Comic Con, or did you get that somewhere else?
No, I got this off Heritage. It's a, people don't usually call it 6.5 at low grade, but in this book, this is a low grade. Often you find turtles in 7.5, 8.0 and above. So for me, I was like, rather than spend the money on an 8.5, without a signature, and it's funny because Doc always makes fun of these books saying, hey, which TMNT number 1 doesn't have a signature on it? But yeah, an 8.5 is probably the same money as I spent on the 6.5, but I got the signature and the remark, which to me, I really wanted on the book. I thought it was cool. So yeah, it was a big one for me. I tried to buy Doc's, by the way. Doc's sold his, not Doc's, Stepos. He sold his in one of his trades. I reached out to Yaniv, but it was already, it was gone.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. It's amazing how fast books go when people say this is from the Gentner collection.
Yeah.
If Alan doesn't grab it immediately, it goes pretty fast.
The quality of that book would be good.
Exactly. So, that's what I'm saying. Like I've been very blessed to have received 4 or 5 books from Steven, and they're all in great shape. Yeah. It's amazing.
I was a little disappointed, but lots of books out there, right? Like you said. Pre-code horror. This is for Bleeker. If Bleeker's listening. Tomb of Dracula number 1. I have a raw copy of it. Again, this is a low grade. Has a tear up here.
Mm-hmm.
But I really enjoy this series a lot. I read this series. For those that are into horror, this is a really, really fun series. What is the play behind you? All right. I'm going to show you guys behind me. That says, so as you guys can see, I have my collection of model cars, and it says Ace Spade Rally versus the Dragon. So for those that have seen my Instagram, I went on the Tail of the Dragon with a exotic car rally called Ace Spade Rally, and that was the souvenir that I took back for driving 311. I think it's like 317 curves in 11 miles or something like that. It was something crazy,
Wow,
but it was a fun drive. Yeah,
that's crazy.
yeah. I feel like driving, like riding motorcycles. Tail of the Dragon down in North Carolina and Tennessee is where it's at.
Very cool. That is true. JSS sent me an exclusive book.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Next book is Tomb of Dracula, number 10, first appearance of Blade, one of my favorite characters out there. This was actually the first slab I bought when I kind of got back into collecting, because I was a big fan of the Blade movie, and I really wanted the first appearance.
Yeah.
And followed by the origin of Blade, Tomb of Dracula, number 13 as well. So a couple of bronze books, a couple of copper books. I've emptied out two of my boxes.
Well, we're running. We're at the point. We're going to. Nate's show has just begun, so we'll wrap up and let everybody go hang over at Nate's. Tan, thank you very much for your generosity in providing tonight's giveaway, and more importantly, thank you for coming and showing your books. I'm amazed by that. That is one of the best Silver Age collections I've seen, certainly locally. And I really appreciate you taking the time to join us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me, Matt. This was awesome.
Not a problem.
I couldn't. I had a Brave and the Bold 28 on the way, Matt. I wanted to show it because I know there's a lot of DC fans. I didn't show a lot of DC books, but next time, hopefully, I'll show some.
No,
DC
but
books.
You know what? I've always said this. I'm about DC. Everybody else isn't, and I like to see the variety just as much as the next guy. So. And honestly, I have said many times, I really got to get better at knowing Marvel stuff, because to me, it's still this huge universe that I know very little about. And I want to learn more about it. I mean, I know the Fantastic Four stuff. I know the Conan stuff and the Son of Satan stuff. That's about it. Everything else is, little bit about the Avengers. I did really love the storyline with Michael Corvin, way back when. But,
and that's kind of what I was saying earlier, Matt, was like the journey, I think is what's most important, to me, is learning. I like watching your show because I'm not the biggest Superman fan. I'm a big Batman fan, Superman, not so much. So I try to watch different shows and learn about, certain books. And that's where I get a lot of value from your show. Whether you're showcasing a collector or you're showing books yourself. Same with Alan, right? Golden Age, especially pre-code horror. For me, I get a lot from that. To guys like Biggie Shack, right, who collect really, really good key books and have a lot of knowledge on keys, and seeing just like everybody on Bleaker. So to me, this whole kind of community, like I mentioned, that AF15, listening to Alan's videos, meeting you guys, and really just being part of the community has been a really, really fun part of it for the past year for me.
Well, you are a very big member, very big part of the community, and the community is better for it. Just before we go, Sunday on the Sunday Superhero Show, I have Bleecker Street Comics and Steven Gentner, Collecto 6, coming on to be my guests. We are going to show superhero books, hopefully that nobody's seen in a while. So come check that out. I know Bleecker has some very interesting ones planned. So come check that out at 9 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. And in the meantime, enjoy your comic books. My name is Matt. I like comics, and I hope you do too. Bye, everybody.